Test, test, test. Excellent. All right.
Budget will empower Canadians because this is your country and we decide what comes next.
Minister talks like the government's money belongs to him, and they call these taxes imaginary. They aren't imaginary when you're...
If the Conservatives want the truth, we'll tell them the truth.
Speech yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out because they saw the ambition in that speech, and not only did they see it in that speech today, as the Prime Minister stood with the Premier investing in new nuclear to ensure the jobs of today and the future, they know that the youth...
The only thing that's revolting are those answers.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these Conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr.
It's too bad that that minister didn't write the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, because it wouldn't have bored and depressed to tears all of those poor students stuck in that room. There he spoke about how they would have to sacrifice more and that it would take time to reverse all of the misery that has built up over the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, young people want to have homes. They want to have jobs. They want to have hope. They want a budget that is affordable so they can have a life that is affordable. Will the Prime Minister introduce that budget so that Canadians can restore the promise of their country?
And we decide what comes next.
Canada know that this government has their back. It will continue. There's going to be a powerful statement for the young people of Canada.
Driving inflation. The more Liberals spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. 25% of Canadians are using food banks because they can't afford to eat. So when will the Prime Minister finally get his inflationary deficits under control so Canadians can put food on the table?
Mr. Speaker, Conservative members pretend to care about food insecurity, but then they call feeding children garbage.
Mr. Speaker, what's garbage was that answer?
Did the Prime Minister see the ad before it went out?
Of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government.
Being serious means being honest and telling Canadians.
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
Out of control spending on consultants. Last year alone, over $20 billion on well-connected Liberal insiders getting contracts. And this year, I think the number said that it's going to go as high as $25 billion. Why won't they put Canadians first? Instead of asking young people to make sacrifices, why won't they cut out their well-connected friends, put Canadians first, and deliver a budget that Canadians can actually afford?
Madam Speaker, it's impressive the Liberals are actually recognizing Christmas. Canadians are being asked to pull the wagon through the mud while Liberal cronies ride comfortably on top. The government isn't worried about families lining up at food banks. They're too busy lining the pockets of insiders. They're not bothered with cutting home prices. They're too focused on cutting checks to bumbling bureaucrats. They don't care about rising debt and inflationary deficits so long as the money keeps flowing to the Liberal elites. When will this Prime Minister stop using tax dollars to reward his friends?
budget will empower, because this is your country, and we decide what comes next. Tomorrow's budget will empower Canadians because this is your country.
Right. This is your country, Canada, and we decide. We decide what's going to happen to your country. Yes. That's what Liberals are, by the way. They've meddled in absolutely everything for the past 10 years. They have not been content enough to leave most things alone. They have had to stick their fingers in absolutely everything, including your eyes. That's right, poking you right in the eye. You don't like it? Poke you some more, and poke you some more. And if their hands aren't poking you in the eye, they're in your back pocket, taking more and more out of your wealth. When I say wealth, just your buying power, just your spending power in Canada has just completely been eroded. By the way, good news, Mr. Speaker. As you know, our Minister of Finance is going to be releasing his budget today. So please join us after the nap for a special edition to cover the budget at 4 o'clock. And we'll see how that turns out. And speaking of the budget, we did release a small video, about 26 minutes long, which basically just captures everything that our finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, has said for the past, since September, since he's been back in the House. He's spent about 3 days in QP answering questions. And since then, he's been in a committee having to answer, non-answer questions, I should say, voting, debating on some other stops. But this is primarily in question period, along with some questions from the opposition leader to the Prime Minister. Again, all budget related, and all the non-answers that they gave, which basically should give you a pretty good idea of what to expect in the budget. So welcome to the NAP, the no answer period, where we cover the question period, prefaced by a review of the far left craziness that has beset our land and the events that surround it, and sometimes some other international stuff. The nap precedes question period by 45 minutes, and we cover the lower house, and I'm going to keep doing that until the government decides to stop showing up. We also keep score, described in the description. That's not too hard. They give answers or they don't give answers. If it's not an answer, it's a nap, a no answer, period. Or if they give an answer, it's usually because it's a freebie question from their own people, the FBQs. And most of the time, any answer that the Liberals give, there's usually some misinformation, disinformation, or outright lies right in it. So each MP response that the government provides gets up to a maximum of 3 lies. After that, well, I'm not going to keep track. And some of them actually even manage to lie when giving an answer sometimes. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But you will see once we hit the question period. I'd like to thank my followers and my subscribers for doing so, for following and subscribing. And if you're new, please give us a like, thumbs up, follow, share, subscribe. Most of all, the chat is up in Rumble, so please feel free to ask anything. And keep it clean. Don't be abusive. Or if you are, I don't really care. Comments drive the algorithm up when I'm not driving it down with my forbidden words. Must be doing something right. I keep getting traffic from YouTube about coming up. So again, that's up to the subscribers because of the engagement on the channel. Right, so let's get on to our first panel with covering the ostriches out in BC. Mostly the work here being done by David Creighton. This will just transition to the next scene. Oh, I see OBS is being stubborn. There we go. Right, so David has been covering this. And a bit of an update. As we know, it's in the hands of the Supreme Court. We know the CFIA has been gaslighting everybody, saying, "Oh no, we're taking care of the birds," when we know that they're just slowly offing them and putting them through some kind of bird grinder and then disposing of the goop. The numbers are dwindling. No matter how far back they set their fence, people can still see what's going in, and there's a dwindling flock. So let's hear what David has to say.
Develop herd immunity, that's okay. But Canada is hell-bent on this destructive policy, and Mark Carney is hell-bent. So time is precious right now. I don't know what the verdict is going to be on Thursday morning. I suspect, given the Supreme Court, The probability is not good. It's going to be a positive one for the farm, but I don't know. Let's wait and see. And let's wait and see how the farm responds. What should be the response? Because I predict if the Supreme Court says no, this is going to galvanize.
Are you ready to discover the secret to affordable premium smokes? Tired of spending an arm and a leg for government tax?
Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Freedom-loving Canadians who will come to that farm and say, this is our stand for freedom in this country. This is our stand against totalitarian Marxist carny government. This will be a huge motivator for Canadians who love freedom. And who knows, we could be in the midst of an election campaign at the same time. And where do you think that energy could go? To a politician who says, I embrace what's happening at this farm. Not from the perspective of the CFIA, but from the perspective of the universal ostrich farms. I embrace this fight for freedom. I embrace this fight for justice. I embrace what has been going on here to stop the government's dissolution of private property rights, which I know aren't in the Constitution. They damn well better get there.
Well, it's a nice speech, David, but I don't know if Canadians are going to be motivated enough again this time. Well, I guess they're getting pretty hungry and pretty desperate. We didn't have 2.2 million people at the food banks. Last time our freedoms were threatened. But it's true. If somebody wants to win the election, if they get behind stopping totalitarian, authoritarian bureaucracy that is further being enshrined and enabled and strengthened by the Liberal Party in Canada, because that's their future. That's how they see, because the only thing that they are concerned about is maintaining power. That's the only thing the Liberals want. They don't care what harms they cause to people as long as they can maintain power and continue to line their pockets and the pockets of their friends. And how can they achieve this? Well, it's through controlling the media. Right, the Qualified Canadian Journalism Organization was established by the Trudeau Liberals, still the current Liberals, and by this it dictated which media organizations are going to be authorized in Canada. That's right, if you're not a QCJO, you will be considered substandard, misinformation, disinformation, you will be harassed, you will be denied access to all the other places that these mainstream media people can in Canada. But if you're independent media, nope, you're a pariah because you don't qualify as a Canadian Journalist Organization member. And in order to do so, well, let's just say you have to toe a government line. And they'll deny it, but hey, you're being paid by the government. It's close to 30 grand per journalist or per person in your organization, actually, that you'll get incentives for, whether it's tax credits or who knows, right? Well, this is how a government captures the propaganda to shape the minds of the people. Let's move on to our next panel. Right, so we had yesterday, we were getting into the COVIDity stupidity updates that we had. And we know that is this the next story? Yes, so we were talking about this story here where COVID-era rights infringements are still being dealt with in the courts. Yes, this is how the government does it. This is how a government who doesn't like you does things, right? They will abuse your rights, and then they will force you to take them to court. And all the while, they're paying their lawyers with your government money, fighting you all the way, when all you want is your charter rights. Charter rights that were enshrined. It's strange that instead of the government having to prove that they can cancel your rights, you have to prove that the government didn't have a right to cancel your rights. It's very odd. It's very odd, and it always seems to happen when you have leftists in power, because for them, it's their way or the highway. Now let's hear a bit of what Mr. Ricard was saying.
2021, and I kind of noticed that Sean was wanting to go ahead with a court action on this, and I saw him on Twitter actually at the time, and contacted him, And that's how we got to know each other right at the start, was very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I think we were angry. We were very angry at the time. I myself, I was a permanent resident here in Canada at the time, had been for like 35 years or 34 years at that point. I'm now a citizen, of course, but and the fact that we weren't able to leave the country to go home and visit, parents who weren't doing very well. And just the fact that we weren't allowed to leave the country in general was very egregious, seemed somewhat tyrannical.
Yes, let's not forget the tyranny, because apparently the Canadians forgot all the tyranny and the stupidity and all the things that didn't make sense, like closing all the small businesses but allowing big box businesses to exist, or keeping liquor stores open when you have to close when you have to close the churches. So it's you can see exactly what happened here. There was an agenda that wasn't based on common sense or science or reality. It was based on their own agenda to push the injections. And if you didn't do it, you became a second-class citizen. I too was forced into second-class citizen as a serving veteran. Same condition as Sean, unable to take a plane, a ferry, a train, or travel to some other place, because as soon as I'm coming back into the country, I'm toasty. Of course, I did see somebody explain their situation when they came back in and they wanted to see the driver's license, and I go, nope, all you need to see is my passport. And they're like, well, okay, just pull over there, and that Health Canada person will talk to you. And I said, am I being detained? And they're like, no. Well, then bye-bye, and then they just left, because it said right on the passport, that's all they need to enter the country. And they were saying, oh, you got to show your driver's license. Well, yeah, they wanted your personal information so they could send you a ticket down the road. Now, of course, since then, we discovered also that, guess what? Well, the police were doing it for the government. There's something that was released today by not Valor Law. It was Viva Fry's brother. His law. I'll have to look at the X post afterwards. And meanwhile, Tamara had another update as well, basically on the failed vaccine injury support program, the VISP. Remember all these times they kept saying, oh, safe and effective, safe and effective. If you don't do it, your grandparents will die. You need to take it to protect everybody else. All the stuff that never made sense, right? Because obviously, if you took it and it worked, then you're protected against everyone else. You're not protecting other people, which is what it was like the opposite. It was a 180 thing, and people just bought it up. And here we are, going on 4 or 5 years later, and people are still saying, yes, it was a real thing. And I'm like, well, give your head a shake. So let's listen to Tamara.
Detail the administrative heavy payments of VISP, which was initially granted to Raymond Shabbat Grant Thornton, RCGT, now Auxerro, with page 3 showing a budget subtotal of over $5 million. That's just for the setup of the program in the 2021-2022 fiscal year. This aligns with other publicly available information and documents that I've obtained previously. It's $5 million for employees, administration, consultants, analysts, coordinators, an engagement partner, and payroll for contractors from physicians, specialists, translators, lawyers, and even cloud-based software services. Because apparently the company that the federal government agreed was appropriate to deliver this massive, unprecedented program didn't already have scalable software. Interestingly is on page 1 of the document, however, it shows a total agreement for $7.9 million that same year. But previous parliamentary responses detail millions less than what is shown here for that same year, but then millions more than what is shown. So the numbers don't line up at all. In fact, it's not even close. So who's really keeping track of all of this? That previous parliamentary response also showed that VISP received this funding under a 5-year contribution agreement. I'm
telling you, this entire thing was mapped out ahead of time so that everyone could profit. Oh yeah, get your government on board. And then after this will happen, that'll happen. And when everybody gets sick, you have to set up a vaccine injury support program. And then you get to pick who gets to do it. And then they get to pocket the money on the side. Except the problem is that the Liberals pick their most corrupt friends to run everything. There is no fiscal accountability with the Liberals whatsoever. The past 10 years, I mean, the last election, we were hoping the Conservatives get in and crack open the books and see just how bad things are. But we're set. We've already doubled debt. And we're not talking about the deficit here. We're talking about the debt, like $1.2 trillion. Canada, $1.2 trillion, $427,000 per household. Are you insane, Liberals? And this is just another example. Shove money down here, nobody cares, no accountability, except this time you've caused super extra misery, aside from the fact that you injured and murdered people with a fraudulent vaccine, and now you're trying to get out of actually accommodating them. It's bad enough that the Canadian Armed Forces members can't even get their own COVID-19 vaccine injuries recognized by their own medical system, or Veterans Affairs, or that they're outside the 3-year window that this failed BISP program that Public Health of Canada had to take over and even accommodate them, because nobody's getting any justice. Let alone the people that forced this onto the people, that destroyed Canada in the process, causing a massive split that nobody's really gotten over since, because you still have people out there calling the people who were protesting for freedom, freedomers. Oh, good on you, you Marxist clowns. You hate freedom, do you? Well, get in line and fight for the rest of your government Hebers, huh? For your last sausage down at the end of the line at the butcher shop. One hanging in the window for everybody to share, like a good old Soviet communist country that we're headed into. With this kind of waste, unaccountable waste, and and I've said this before, for them, it's not just trying to sneak some here and sneak some there. For them, it's like everywhere. Let's be corrupt everywhere at the same time and just waste money at the same time. Everywhere, throw as much cash out the window as we can so they can't keep up. And as they're picking one, we've already thrown out the cash in 6 other windows and they can't keep up. That's how bad it is, Canada. That's how bad it is. When you're looking at sending money over to Africa for gender this, climate that, or building whatever, feminization of toilet tampon, I don't know. It's just, there's no accountability because there's no receipts. There's like, they'll tell you this nice little gobbledygook Marxist, socialist Marxist cultural bullshit about helping them be more diverse and inclusive and stuff, but there's no follow-up. There's no results. Hey, look what we actually did. Nobody actually goes there to say, hey, did the money actually go to people? There's no audits. It's just, let's sign it off, and off it goes. Other people's money, they don't care. Now you wonder why everything has gone up in price in Canada. Because nobody listens to history. What happened in the Wehrmacht? What happened in the Wehrmacht? After World War I, they started printing money because they were broke. And then they destroyed their economy because money wasn't worth anything anymore. And that's the same thing the Liberals have been doing. They called it quantitative easing. It's just as ridiculous as wearing a mask thinking you're going to protect yourself against viruses. Because that's what a mask looks like. It's a big chain link fence. It doesn't do anything. But hey, the misinformation is out there. Wear a mask, it'll protect you. I gotta tell you, one of the first teaching things I ever had to do in the military was nuclear biochemical warfare. And when you're going in and out of the gas huts, right, and you do your practice runs and you do this 3-4 times a day, 3-4 times a year, if you're in combat arms, typically it's like, 2 times a year, but no, combat arms, what else are you going to do? Well, especially if you're an instructor, you're going to be doing a lot more. And even when I joined the Air Force, well, if I was at a TAC Hell unit, yeah, we did it twice a year. If I was in a regular Air Force unit, well, maybe once every 3 years. It all depended on the minimum requirements that they had, depending on your position. But the whole point is, the mask is fitted to your face, right? And you have to do these mask fit tests. And it's not just a mask that we wear in the gas huts for combat purposes. It's also the safety equipment that we got fit tested that we wear on the flight line. And then you had all these officers going, "You're gonna wear a mask," and we're all like, "Are you guys bananas? That's not going to protect us. We know we have to use the safety equipment all the time. You guys are giving us a load of crap. Oh, but it'll stop a few of them." It's a waste. It's a waste of time, and all you're doing is limiting the oxygen flow into your body, which stresses your body out. Well, Ryan Turnbull, such an unfortunate last name given how he deals with people. I don't know if this is new for him, but he's decided to do these videos um, Turnbull take or whatever. Now, of course, him, and I've seen this trend now on X, is that liberals are leaving their comments locked. Only members that they mention can actually comment on stuff, right? Because, especially in this video here, he's basically just repeating all the same lies that he gives as answers in Parliament. And of course, he doesn't want to be called out on it. This is how weak these liberals are. This is how they can't defend their positions. They have to operate in secret. They have to do things behind closed doors. They have to sneak things through. They have to coerce. They have to bully. They don't know how to work with other people at all. It's their way or the highway, constantly. You are in a minority government, not for the first time, liberals. You should have been working with the opposition, but you didn't. You didn't at all. You knew that, oh, hey, if we schedule the budget just in time for it to fail, and we'll force an election over Christmas, and that'll piss people off, and they'll vote us back in, and then we'll get a majority, and yay, we'll be able to ride our country right into the sunset. Except there's been a few problems since you guys formulated that plan. Canada is shedding jobs like there's no tomorrow. Every day there's another plant closing. Every day there's another bunch of jobs moving south of the border or just shutting down altogether. And people are just saying, we've had enough. We can't operate in Canada. It's just not feasible. It's not profitable. And you guys are a bunch of miserable people. And what's their solution? We will invest. We will spend. We can spend the money and invest in ourselves, and we can do everything by ourselves. And yeah, how did that work out for the Soviet Union? How's that working out for North Korea? Because that's basically what they're doing here with their climate craziness. Now, if you want to know, just read Carney's book. And the plan is all laid out, and they're doing it. Well, Moose on a Loose here has been going after Tim Hodgins because he's had to deal with him when this guy was in BC as a political representative. So he knows everything about him in the background. And, of course, our Moose on a Loose here has been maintaining the Moose chart, especially on all the stuff that Carney's been investing in or the investments that he has. And so, of course, he's been asking Tim, hey, it's been almost 3 weeks since I requested a full list of your RSPs holdings to make sure you aren't enriching yourself with your announcements here. You know, and the way that Carney's been doing since he's become prime minister and how his stocks have just been increasing in value. Oh, sorry, you mean the stocks behind an ethical screen? Oh, yes, it's behind the shower curtain. I guess I can't see it. Like the man behind the curtain. So, what's it got here? Appendix A summary. Divestment by selling the controlled assets in an arm's length transaction pursuant to Section 27 of the Act. RSP composed of at least one controlled asset. Right, so it'd be interesting. We all know they're all corrupt anyway. And it won't be any surprise. It will not be a surprise because for them, they just don't care. They're just a bunch of communists. Speaking of which, Dr. Hetty Fry loves communism, in fact. She got so destroyed with this post on X that she deleted it, but you know, people had already captured it. And she's like, oh my God, the Conservative Party just defended their voting against the National School Food Program by saying that parents would prefer to feed their kids themselves rather than the government feed them. The logic here? Pure communism. You know, if you listen, if you pay close enough attention, they will telegraph exactly who they are and what they want to do to you. Know them by what they do. Know them by what they say. Especially know them by what they accuse the other people of, because that's probably what they are doing. Now, let's just do a quick scene transition here while I fix my other screen. Is that going to fade, Mr. OBS? Thank you. All right, much better. Let's go on to our next panel. We have a video. Ah, good. Mario Zelaya. Yes, I think I mentioned this yesterday. Let's have a quick listen to Mario.
I spent more time on this than I care to admit because I couldn't believe this. But Juno News just did this article on how the Liberals invited a convicted killer to advise Member of Parliament on bail reform. And as you know, the Liberal Party turned down the Jail Not Bail Act proposed by Conservatives for political reasons. So they get the credit. They want to create their own version. And in creating their own version, they've invited this person. And a source came forward and they said that on an ongoing House of Commons study on bail reform conducted by the Standing Committee, it was confirmed by True North that a Liberal Member of Parliament invited a convicted killer to advise the government on potential changes to bail laws.
So is it any wonder that we are in a hug-a-thug society? I mean, just by their behavior yesterday in Commons when the entire decision was brought up and mentioned by Larry Brock. I'm surprised he brought it up. But the court decision on the PE Delta Oscar votes, right? And that court ruling saying, oh, yeah, well, yeah, those children were harmed, but we will just, negate their punishment. And he just lost it on the Liberals. Now, it's political parties all issued something. I don't know if the Greens did. They were all like, what the hell's going on here? This is not right. And by Monday, the Liberals still had not said a thing. Not a single Liberal minister had commented on this or what they were going to do. I mean, obviously, it was pretty easy. He said, hey, let's just use an notwithstanding clause and fix this. In the meantime, and then we'll try to fix the law because the judges on the courts just don't seem to understand what justice is. So instead, they said nothing. That's right. For them, it was like, oh, they were trapped. Oh, well, if we put in this hug-a-thug legislation, and we're the ones that brought in the criminals to talk to us to figure out how to better, be kinder to criminals, which apparently is all they've done. As crime has skyrocketed in Canada, and a lot of people come back as, oh, but crime is down. Yes, I guess crime is a little down in statistics compared to like the previous couple of months. But compared to 2015, it's still way up. Still way up. And that pretty well is the measure of this government. What were things like before in 2015, and what are they like now? They were hoping they would stay in power long enough for people to forget. But too bad. Not only is the internet forever, but so are most of our brain cells, except for those that you've brainwashed with your hate propaganda in order to manipulate them. Now, how do they manage this? Well, as soon as they came into power, they accelerated the cultural Marxist ideology within Canada. And we were warned years ago. I remember Camille Paglia, and I knew about her before this. She was quite a cultural figure in Canada. And back during when we just had the mainstream media and the internet, I don't even think it started really much yet at the time. If we wanted to find out what was going on radically in some things, she was the firebug. She was just ball of energy. So Rubin Report here, I found this clip and put it up and said, oh, we were warned. Indeed, we were. Let's have a listen.
9 years ago. Go.
Thing is the universities.
So we don't want to sell this book. Forget this.
The universities are in a state of decay. That's also advanced and transfer. I'm talking about I have an open.
Because you're all upset about political correctness and multiculturalism and any violation of the canons. You're right down the line.
No.
You think all of that threatens what we know as a Western civilization education in our universities.
Not at all. I'm talking about knowledge. I'm talking about how the universities have abandoned what should be the center of the university, which is learning. Okay. All right. Now I'm on the record. My last book, Sex, Art, and American Culture, had a whole transcript of a multicultural course I taught at the university, with an Asian professor. Okay, I believe in enlightened multiculturalism based on scholarship.
What's the difference in unenlightened and enlightened multiculturalism?
Okay, I'm totally opposed to any politicized agenda in the classroom. Okay, I do not want this crappy melodrama being taught to our students that Western civilization is filled with evil patriarchs, and out there are the wonderful people of color. Okay?
Well, but I don't think anyone that I know of that believes that, just think of what you just said.
The new historicists, listen, you don't know, Stephen Greenblatt, the new historicists, I mean, my God, every word out of their mouth is about the evil of Western culture. You don't know how bad
Western
it is.
culture is evil, and
you don't know how bad it is.
Asian or African culture is is unflawed?
These people in the who have control of the university's humanities departments now do not believe in great art. Okay, they do not. They believe the dead white European males are just have been canonized.
Well, Skip Gates doesn't believe that.
Man, the passion that she is speaking with, and Charlie Rose basically like.
Wow, that's exactly what happened. Back then, 30 years ago, they were saying, you don't know how crazy it is, how much, what's coming out of their mouths. Well, 30 years later, 2 generations, going on 3 worth of students that have come through universities who've been taught this cultural Marxism, who believe it, the whole victim-oppressor ideology. So no wonder 5 years ago, when they brought in their Hegelian deconstructionism, headed by the now Chief of Defense Staff in the military to enact their diversity, equity, inclusion, as soon as they started bringing this in, because we were all basically under lockdown at work, doing stupid things like, let's go in a canteen for a meeting. Everyone sat at their own separate table, and they'd all be sitting in there, and a CEO would come in and be like, okay, well, if everybody feels comfortable, you can take your mask off. And we're like, fuck me. We just take the mask off. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on. And because they had to keep up appearances for nothing. And then next thing you know, we're getting this little debate on Black Lives Matters. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Black lives. And so I'm sitting there, because it was at the time with what's his face there that they had to do painting over. I can't breathe. The one that died of the fentanyl overdose that they blamed the cop on for using an approved holding method that he was actually trained to use on the member. Yeah, and of course it was already in the news, and I was like, so of course I mentioned it, like, yeah, well. When you throw out stuff like this and ideological mentions and you're showing us a flag, I've seen flags in the past that, why the hell would they even do this? And then I was like, and besides, you just stated a fact that's not a fact, because he's only on trial for this. He hasn't been found guilty yet, and there's evidence in the court that he died of an overdose of fentanyl. And the chief ran into my office after this impromptu little meeting that we had by the CEO to teach us about BLM in the Air Force, like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, where's this information? I just brought it up for him. Like, well, there it is. Would you like me to send you the link? Yeah, so Hegelian deconstruction, it just brought right in DEI, all the crap. Now it's just pervasive. And how did they get there to that point? Well, you had to slowly change the minds. And of course, in the military, traditions are very set. And how do you get rid of traditions? Well, you get rid of the traditional people. And this is the first thing they did. Oh, let's see. How do we get rid of people? Oh, I know what. Let's ruin their morale. That's what they did. And over the 30 years that I was in, or 38 years that I was in, some military traditions disappeared. And some new ones come in to replace them. And the shell of what is left now is not a fighting force. It's a cultural Marxist force to teach people that eventually in the future they might be called on to do their part to build a mountain of skulls for their socialist future. Now, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Hello, my name is Leah Gazan. I'm the NDP MP for Winnipeg Centre. Today I will be reintroducing my bill to recognize residential school denialism as a form of inciting hate. You know, it's been over a decade since the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada. And since that time, we have seen, since the discovery of unmarked graves.
Habeas corpus. Show me the body. Habeas corpus. This communism, this Marxist BS that they are doing. This is communism. If you don't believe what we believe, you know it's not the truth. We'll throw you in jail for 2 years. This is how crazy these people are. In fact, you want to know how crazy this person is? She's a fraud. An absolute fraud. Her maternal grandfather is Chinese and paternal grandparents are Dutch Jews, and she's parading herself off as indigenous. She pretends she's indigenous. Pretend denying residential school lies is hate. Show me the body. Habeas corpus. Pretends to be a good person while inciting anti-Christian hate and church burnings. It's not bad enough that they're still spinning this tale without actually even hitting a shovel into the ground. Unmarked grave. Yeah, I've got unmarked garden areas in my backyard because I haven't marked them yet. I haven't grown vegetables there yet. I haven't thrown a shovel into the ground to plant a seed and grow a squash. Unmarked graves. So Robert Fife put out this piece on in the Globe and Mail, weighing the finances and politics in the coming budget. Well, I'm sorry, Bob, but they're not weighing finances and politics. They're weighing how much they can steal, how much more they can steal before they're kicked out and stay in power. Now, Robert goes down, then he breaks down, and basically it comes down to giving in to the demands of the bloc to get their vote, which of course they won't. And of course this assumption here that they tried to work with the Conservative Party, but really they have not. Because Philippe Champagne is a creature of the political party, of the Liberal political party. He's very deep embedded into their history. And in fact, he was considered a contender to succeed Justin Trudeau until a certain former banker, governor, entered politics in January and ran away with the prize, according to Robert. So I wouldn't be surprised that this man and his ego would believe that he's the right person, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker. We'll take no lessons from the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. Trust me on this, Mr. Speaker. Good news, Mr. Speaker. We have cut the GST for everyone. Good news, Mr. Speaker. People can buy a home now. We made it cheaper for them. Good news, Mr. Speaker. We have communist lunches for all the kids to feed whose parents can no longer afford to because we destroyed the economy. Good news, Mr. Speaker. This guy is such a clown, and I look forward to his budget. Next on our panel, Mark Carney has helped Brookfield avoid $5.3 billion taxes since 2021. Well, like a good CEO should, I guess. Just too bad that he can't seem to do the same for Canada. Oh, that's right. Tax money only goes one way. To his companies. Canadians lost an estimated $5.3 billion in Brookfield Asset Management's tax avoidance in the time Mark Carney was at the company. And you know what's worse is that he was the financial advisor to our prime minister at the time. Between 2021 and 2024, Brookfield's annual report showed that he made $23.3 billion USD in income. $23.3 billion. Canada's corporate tax rate of 26.4%. They should have paid $6.1 billion in taxes, but they only paid $2 billion, leaving a tax gap of $4.1 billion USD or 5.3 billion Canadian. That's probably higher than that now as our dollar continues to shrink in value compared to the American dollar, which is getting stronger every day. Their economy is doing well. The price of groceries is going down every day, and so is their price of gas. This is the same calculation method used by the Toronto Star and Canadian for tax fairness for their reports on corporate tax avoidance. Well, interesting, right? Nope, not at all. We knew Carney was as crooked as the day goes. I am not surprised. Garnet Jennis. Well, let's let Garnet explain it for us. We still have a few minutes here before the start of the question period.
Member from Sherwood Park is going to be the next speaker. I look forward to him indicating very clearly that he's going to come and visit the beautiful city of Winnipeg. We'll make some arrangements, either University of Winnipeg or University of Manitoba, maybe get a first-year political studies class or something of that nature. And let's talk about the last 6 months. I really do look forward to it, I must say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Look, I don't normally plan my date schedule on the floor of the House of Commons, but since the member for Winnipeg North is so eager, this seems the right time to invite all members to join us in Winnipeg on the November break week. I will fly to Winnipeg. I think probably Wednesday, November the 12th would be a good day. It's the day after Remembrance Day, so not going to conflict with anything, but students will still be in their classrooms. I will rely on the member to make some of the logistical arrangements on the ground himself, since I am providing the courtesy of flying to his hometown. This will be a great debate in front of students and other members of Parliament, I'm sure. I've been visiting a number of university campuses precisely to ask this question to students, which is, are they better off or worse off than their parents' generation? And I know many students that I talk to are telling me that they are worse off as a result of the failing economic policies of this government. But we can talk about economics, we can talk about foreign policy, we can talk about House procedure. I'm happy to debate that, member, anywhere, on anything, anytime, and I think the students of Winnipeg will benefit from that greatly. So that will be Wednesday, November the 12th in Winnipeg, but it will be the responsibility of the member for Winnipeg North to arrange some of the logistical details.
Well, that should be interesting, because that Liberal member is one of the handful of sleaziest Liberal politicians that they currently have on that side of the House. He just oozes sleaze, this one. And he's going to get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Which is why I believe the debate will not happen. You know, he'll back out for whatever reason. There'll be a conflict, or he won't make it, or who knows? Another scamdemic might come into play, forcing everyone once again to be coerced into an injection in order to participate in society. And I see we are still doing statements by members in the House. Bakes on things. He has a little warning. Let's see if we can get this in before the House starts.
Because I think I might have finally found the dumbest, sneakiest, most insulting revenue idea your government has ever come up with, and they're starting in your municipalities. The Ottawa Citizen caught it here. It's small, it's quiet, it sounds harmless, but it's happening all over, and we've got tons of examples. Make no mistake, this one is a test on you to see if you'll notice, and if you don't, it will help the government repay their debt. I'm calling it micro-gouging, and we're talking about it right now. Let's go.
Welcome to Bakes on Things.
Welcome back to Bakes on Things, a very special episode. Please share this episode and like and subscribe and do all the commenting below. I want to see if you've seen this micro gouging happening to you or to your family or to all of us. But starting next year, the city of Ottawa is quietly going to be testing something on every one of its homeowner citizens. It will start charging citizens a 55-cent surcharge every time they pay their city taxes or their water bills by pre-authorized payment. That's right. You're paying your taxes, you get dinged to do so. You set up automatic payments to make life easier.
So why is this happening? It's because the banks are charging the cities to process the fee. So of course the city's not going to pay for that. Let's pass that on to the person. Okay, no problem. So I guess the other options are to, go in and pay lump sums ahead of time. I would do that. Or just go into City Hall and start paying by cash. Hey, there we go. We can avoid that 50-cent surcharge. But they're starting low. I guess it's costing the city 76 cents per transition, and they're only like charging their tax base 50 cents. So I guess there's that. And the House is still doing statements by members. Yes. National Council of Canadian Muslims. This organization used to be known as Council of American Islamic Relations Canada. and they changed their name to NCCM after their U.S. partners became an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trial. And yeah, so then they changed their name afterwards. So it's kind of strange. Of course, they'll come back and say, "Oh, the whole trial was," but then why did you change your name? And are we? Oh, we're starting. Let's get up there. Oh my.
The pockets of Canadians. There is going to be one difference today. After today, every tax rate, every piece of red tape, every rule, regulation, and every bit of wasteful spending will be exactly how this Prime Minister wants it. Conservatives have been clear. We will not support a costly budget that makes life more expensive for Canadians. So instead of asking Canadians to pay more for a big bloated bureaucracy, why not bring in an affordable budget that lowers prices for everyone?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Then it's a great day for the official opposition because we are going to have an affordable budget. We are going to have an historic budget that creates opportunity for young people and Canadians from coast to coast to coast, building this country, making sure that government works for people, invests in their communities. And, Mr. Speaker, we look forward to having the Conservatives support this great budget.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Would be an 11th hour change because this government has been telling young Canadians that they're going to have to sacrifice more so that government gets bigger and bigger. They even try to deny that their hidden taxes on food makes life more expensive. They call those hidden taxes imaginary. Let me tell you, the farmer that has to pay the industrial carbon tax on his new equipment or on the fertilizer he buys has to pass those costs on to Canadians, and food prices go up as a result. He doesn't have the option to not pay the industrial carbon tax on farm equipment and fertilizer. So a concrete measure to help bring prices down would be to scrap the industrial carbon tax. Will they do that today?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Here we go again, Mr. Speaker, with these imaginary taxes. There is no tax on food. There will never be a tax on groceries. And great news for the opposition, today's budget won't have any of these imaginary taxes in them either. What this budget will have are historic investments in young people, in building this country, in building communities, and in making this country stronger, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Farmers can call up CRA and say that the carbon tax on farm equipment and fertilizer is just imaginary, or maybe they can write imaginary checks to pay for them, Mr. Speaker. But it's not just the industrial carbon tax that's driving up food prices, it's also the Liberal fuel standard. When truckers take the food from farms to factories to grocery stores, they can't tell Revenue Canada that those taxes are imaginary. They have to pay that extra 17 cents a litre. So again, to help bring prices down for working Canadians, why not scrap the fuel standards that are driving up food costs?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, this is more about the talk of imaginary taxes coming from the other side. Right. But you know what? If you want to talk about clean fuel regulations, you don't even have to just take my word for it that's not a tax. You can check the Canola Digest because they point out this provides opportunities for farmers. When we're talking about biofuels, this is an important place. It's an opportunity for canola farmers. I hope that they support it, and I hope they support our budget.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent at Kiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, in less than 2 hours, the budgets will table their 10th deficit. In 2015, they were elected by saying 3 small deficits and no more deficits after 2019. But the reality was that the debt has doubled under the Liberals. The cost of housing has doubled under the Liberals. And the Prime Minister told young people, you'll have to sacrifice even more. Mr. Speaker, instead of asking young people to sacrifice their future, instead of having an expensive election, why not have an affordable budget for an affordable life for Canadians? The Honourable Leader of the government in the House. The member across the way will have a great day today because, yes, we'll have an affordable budget that protects the most vulnerable, that invests in our youth, that invests in our world, that invests in communities from coast to coast to coast, a budget that will create opportunities, that will build our country, to build the strongest G7 economy. So I would like to ask the member to support us today. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent, Aquitaine-Winrac. Mr. Speaker, all Canadians want a budget that will protect their cost of living. People are hurting with regards to food. Inflation has doubled the price of some food. 2.5 million Canadians have to go to food banks. The Prime Minister was voted by saying he would be judged on the cost of food. And after 10 years of Liberal governments, Sylvain Charlebois, a professor, says that if we have a look at the G7, we are currently the only G7 country that has had 4 consecutive months of food price increases. Will the Canadians finally have an affordable budget? The Honourable Secretary of State. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our affordable budget will have historic investments that will strengthen Canada. It will strengthen families and Canadians from coast to coast to coast. These investments will allow us to create jobs and careers for young people. It will allow us to build more affordable housing for young Canadians, and it will allow us to protect support measures that help families. Our government will table a budget that will build, that will protect, and that will strengthen Canada. And I cannot wait for the members across the way to vote for it. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent, Aquitaine-Winrac. Mr. Speaker, we've had a proposal tabled for months that will reduce the cost of food, and that's abolishing the industrial carbon tax. Mr. Speaker, food doesn't just grow on trees. It has to be harvested from the trees. It has to be processed. Thereafter, it also has to be packaged and sent to stores, and that is where the industrial carbon tax kicks in. Mr. Charlebois, the same professor that I mentioned before, said yesterday before parliamentary committee saying that the costs have gone up, the difference between us and the States have gone up because we have an industrial carbon tax and they don't. End of intervention, inaudible for the interpreter. The Honourable Minister for the Environment. There are always people that talk about imaginary taxes, and they continue to talk about imaginary taxes, but let's get back down to earth. We've tabled a responsible budget that will tackle affordability, that will help Canadians because we support Canadians. We are ready to work hard for Canadians to build a strong future, and I hope that the Conservatives will support our budget to do that as well. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have announced that they are scrapping their plan to plant 2 billion trees. This proves once again that they haven't understood a thing. If everyone was laughing at them for this programme, it wasn't because the programme was bad and it needed to be cancelled. It was because the Liberals were incapable of planting the damn trees in the first place. Everyone was laughing at them because year after year they missed their target. Today we learned that they are abandoning the programme. Instead of correcting their incompetence, they simply just to give up. Is that really the Liberal approach?
Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, our budget today will seize a generational opportunity to transform our economy through ambitious investments, rigorous discipline, ensuring every dollar goes to help build the strongest economy in the G7, and we look forward to sharing that with the member opposite.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. I don't think he was answering from the right sheet, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals are cutting their 2 billion tree planting programme. That's what we're talking about. Just as they've cut carbon pricing, just as they are allowing their own environmental assessments to be circumvented through Bill C5. All the environmental measures put in place under Justin Trudeau, as meagre and insufficient as they were, are being abandoned one by one. It's setback after setback after setback. You'd think you were watching the Conservatives play, Mr. Speaker. So the question arises, do the Liberals actually believe in climate change? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. My esteemed colleague across the way will have to wait for the budget, but what I can confirm now is that we will continue to ensure that Canada is a key player against climate change. Instead of providing setbacks, we'll continue to progress in Canada. I hope that the member doesn't want us to stop projects in Quebec, but Mr. Speaker, what I can confirm is that we will invest in our youth, invest in our regions, and invest for our country's progress. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are announcing the abandonment of their strategy to plant 2 billion trees today. But it's symbolic to abandon the only green measure remaining from the Trudeau era. It's ironic that it's happening on a day of a budget that is dangerous for the environment. The budget will detail the federal government's new strategy called climate competitiveness. If this means cutting carbon pricing, cutting electric vehicle quotas, cutting tree planting, and encouraging the expansion of oil and gas, shouldn't we just rename it climate capitulation? The Honourable Minister for the Environment. Mr. Speaker, the member across the way should know full well, because we've talked about it many times, that our government will continue to fight against climate change. Not only that, we will continue to build a strong Canada, because that's what Canadians want. They want to see that we have significant projects that means good jobs for the youth. That means a strong country, and we will continue to do so, and I really hope that they will be supportive of our budget.
Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Every dollar this Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher taxes and higher inflation. And today at 4 o'clock, we're going to find out just how much more they're going to take out of the pockets of Canadians. And Canadians could be paying $300 to $400 more in grocery costs because of their food packaging tax. And Canadians are looking for an affordable budget for an affordable life. So will the Prime Minister instead scrap his food packaging tax instead of trying to engineer a costly election with his costly budget?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an historic day for our country. Today, our government will table a generational disciplined budget. We will transform our economy from reliance to resilience and build our economy in the strongest in the G7. We will spend less on government operation and invest more in capital projects and build our economy into the strongest economy in the G7. I hope the party opposite cuts the rhetoric and will support us and vote for our budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
We've heard this same tune from these Liberals before, and the result? 2.2 million Canadians visiting food banks. Their industrial carbon tax is another example of driving up costs for everyday Canadians. They're paying more and they're getting less. We want to know why they continue with these taxes, like their food packaging tax, that even Deloitte, we know they love consultants, and Deloitte is saying that it's raising the price of produce by 30%. So will the Prime Minister, while he's still got a chance, commit, instead of having a costly election, to having an affordable budget for affordable lives for Canadians?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, there is no food packaging tax. The party opposite is obsessed with imaginary taxes. Let's talk affordability, Mr. Speaker. Let's talk about cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. No comments on that. Let's talk about cutting the tax for first-time homebuyers. No comments on that. Let's talk about cutting the consumer carbon tax. No comments on that, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are focused on affordability for Canadians. Canadians made a choice in the last election. They chose our side. They chose our Prime Minister. They rejected that leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Liberal spends, we know, comes from the pockets of Canadians, which drives up taxes and inflation. And now they're making it worse with their hidden food taxes. For example, the Liberal packaging plastic ban will add $5.6 billion to food prices because, of course, it forces producers to use more costly packaging that doesn't preserve food as well, which, of course, means shorter shelf lives, more waste, and higher food prices. So will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer this costly election with his costly budget and instead scrap this $5.6 billion hidden food tax, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as my colleagues have said, there is no tax. It's an imaginary tax. There is no tax on food packaging in Canada.
For Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, the experts are telling us that these food packaging taxes will add $5.6 billion, and that's just one of them. They're also forcing the food industry to redesign food labels, of all things, which will add an additional $8 billion to the cost of food. Canadians aren't asking the Liberals to redesign food labels, Mr. Speaker. They're asking for more affordable food. So will they scrap this hidden food tax and save Canadians some money?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, there is no food packaging tax. There is no food labeling tax. There is no tax on groceries. These are imaginary taxes, and repeating these same lines is not going to make them real.
Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Liberals spend comes straight out of the pockets of Canadians through higher taxes and the skyrocketing cost of living. The Liberals can gaslight and call fuel regulations tax imaginary all they want, but my neighbours in Oshawa will feel the hit up to 17 cents per litre more for gas. Will the Prime Minister stop trying to engineer a costly election with a costly budget and finally scrap the fuel regulations tax?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
We're going to stand up for Canadians every single day. We're going to invest in their futures. We're going to invest in the jobs that Canadians are talking about they want to take up. Mr. Speaker, this is a time when Canadians have pulled together to build Canada strong, and that's exactly what our budget's going to do. We're going to make sure the tools are there for every Canadian who is protecting this country. I hope these guys get on board.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. When the Liberal government spends a dollar comes out of the pocket of a Canadian because of higher taxes and Liberal inflation. Liberal hypocrisy has reached a peak. They are hiding taxes on the backs of families who are struggling to feed themselves. Yes, it is a hidden tax when they pass a $5.2 billion bill to Canadians by changing food packaging rules. Instead of tabling a costly budget this afternoon, will the Prime Minister abolish the packaging tax and give $5 billion back to families in an affordable budget for an affordable life? The Leader of the Government in the House. Mr. Speaker, all Canadians know that there is no packaging tax. There's no tax as is described by the member. There's no tax on groceries. These are imaginary taxes that the Conservatives are dreaming up. They do not exist. Canadians already know this. The Conservatives should probably know this as well. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. There's nothing imaginary when mothers simply do not have the money to pay for milk, cheese, meat, everything they need to feed their children properly. For example, Mr. Speaker, the industrial carbon tax will cost them up to $1,000 in very real money every single year. Whilst they're wondering how they're going to pay for their groceries, the Prime Minister is trying to provoke a costly election with a costly budget. Why not think about families for once and simply cancel the industrial carbon tax instead? Because life is just becoming less and less affordable. The Honourable Minister for Industry. Mr. Speaker, it's not because my colleague keeps asking the same question that he should get a different answer. My point is that he is drumming up imaginary taxes, but he's also not referring to the fact that we have reduced taxes for the middle class, for example. In the next budget that will be tabled this afternoon before this House, we'll protect our jobs, we'll protect our economy, we'll protect our communities. We'll also be here to build our country, build our economy with great projects, major defence investments. Our budget will also be here to help Canadians. The Honourable Member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bégotac. Mr. Speaker, as the Prime Minister returns from a mission to Asia, let us remember that China trades heavily in products made with forced labour, including child labour. Canada's economic diversification must never be achieved at the expense of slavery and human rights abuses. The Bloc Québécois has tabled Bill C-251 to prevent any importation from regions suspected of using modern slavery, unless the seller can prove that they do not profit from forced labour or child labour. Will the government support our bill? The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my honourable colleague for that question. Our government does not support forced labour at all. We will continue to defend human rights throughout the world, especially through multilateral organizations. At the same time, we will continue to invest in our economy and have bilateral relations when it is necessary for our country throughout the world. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Chinese regime is guilty of genocide against the Uyghur and Turkic peoples in the Xinjiang. This genocide includes forced labour and child labour, whose blood and sweat are found in products such as cotton. This genocide has been recognised by this very House, but has not stopped the Prime Minister from courting China. The Québécois bill is simple. It mirrors what the United States is already doing to ban the import of products made with forced labour. The question is simple. Will they support the Bloc Québécois bill, yes or no? Unfortunately, I can't bring this to a vote, but I will hand it over to the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, Canada is incredibly preoccupied by the treatment of the Uyghur in China. The report was one essential step that raised very alarming factors of what's happening there. China still has not acted in a significant way to respond. Canada will continue to work with its partners, its international partners, to resolve this situation. Canada is here for human rights every single day through international organizations. That is a priority for us.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Young Canadians are asking a simple question. What is left for me to sacrifice after a decade of failed Liberal policies? They're saying, I can't find a job, I'm delaying starting a family, I can't buy a home, I am living in my parents' basement. What is left to sacrifice, Prime Minister? And what is the Liberal government's response? We're going to mortgage your future with more generational debt. Will the Prime Minister stop breaking his promises, rein in his reckless spending, and finally deliver an affordable budget that gives young Canadians a fighting chance at an affordable life?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's budget will deliver historic investments to build Canada strong. This means strong families and strong communities from coast to coast to coast. Investments that will create good quality jobs and careers for young Canadians, that will build infrastructure, that will put more affordable homes within reach for young Canadians, and protect the supports that help families to get ahead. Your new government is putting forward a budget to build, protect, and empower Canadians and Canada, and I hope the members opposite will join us and support the budget.
Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
They have been saying those same words for over a decade, but life has only gotten harder. They call it an investment, but it's not. It is a mortgage on our youth's future. A 19-year-old girl from Halifax was on national news saying she can't afford groceries, she can't find work. That is the reality behind their so-called investments. Youth unemployment is at 15%, not because young people have given up, but because this Liberal government has given up on them. So will the Prime Minister stop asking young Canadians to sacrifice even more and deliver an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, to the member opposite, this government is taking action to make life more affordable for young Canadians. We are delivering on housing. You look across the country right now, average rents are down, mortgage rates are down, home prices are going down. That's benefiting young Canadians, and we're not stopping there, Mr. Speaker. We are doubling up on housing for young Canadians, making sure the first-time home buyers tax benefits up to $50,000, and we're going to deliver with Build Canada Homes, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
this Liberal Prime Minister told young Canadians that they must make some sacrifices. Well, they've already had to sacrifice good-paying jobs and the dream of home ownership, and they've already paid the price as food costs keep going up. A Liberal inflationary deficits throw fuel on the fire. A 19-year-old girl from Halifax said it best on National News. Quote, food insecurity is not good. Finding a job is even harder. Youth unemployment is now approaching 15%, the highest rate since 2010, coming out of the Great Recession. Will the Liberals stop asking young Canadians to make more sacrifices, finally keep their promises, so young Canadians can have an affordable budget for an affordable home?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
I've traveled across this country. I've met with union leaders. I've met with workers, and they're excited about our plan to build big and build bold, build infrastructure project, build Canada homes, because of the opportunities it creates. Opportunities to bring in high school students, opportunities to bring in apprentices, opportunities to invest in the next generation of skilled workers. Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives want an affordable budget for an affordable life, they have the opportunity to vote for one today. Will they join us?
Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing generational with Liberal deficits is the debt that the next generation must pay. Exactly. Liberal inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of everything. Young Canadians can't find jobs, they can't afford homes, and they can't even afford food. 25% of Canadians face food insecurity. They're sacrificing by cutting back on nutritious food. It's gone so bad that recipes for poverty potlucks and struggle meals, like those using hamburger helper and instant ramen, are now trending on social media. When will the Liberals finally stop breaking their promises, get spending under control, and deliver what young Canadians actually need? An affordable budget for an affordable life.
Yeah. Secretary of State.
Again, those words, we keep hearing those words from the Conservatives, but the reality of the situation is that every time there's an opportunity to vote for measures that help Canadians, they vote against it. They vote against no to dental care. They vote against no to the National School Food Program, which they call garbage, Mr. Speaker. They said no to the increase of Canada Child Benefit, no to a tax cut that helps 22 million Canadians. While they keep saying no, our government is investing to help families, yes, to lowering costs for Canadians, yes, to building a stronger future for Canadians. So, Mr. Speaker, today they'll get another chance to vote for a budget that is affordable for Canadians. Will they join us?
The Honourable Member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, food insecurity is not good, and finding a job is even harder. Those are the words of a 19-year-old from Atlantic, Canada. Youth employment is skyrocketing, nearly 15%. And this Prime Minister have told Canadians that they needed to make more sacrifices, but they've already sacrificed enough. Young people are having to sacrifice working in their hometown because they have to go away for work. This means that our kids will be fast sacrificing dinners with grandma. When will these Liberals get over their overspending, get spending under control so that the Canadians can have an affordable life and not get stuck with the bill?
Right. The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud to be able to stand today in reference to the opposition member from Newfoundland and Labrador and talk about the measures that we are putting in place for young workers to train in construction, welders, the work that we need to build Canada strong, happening in our province. I was so proud to make that announcement last week. That's just one of the many measures, not to mention the programs for children and families. I really hope this member votes for the budget.
The member for Port Moody Coquitlam.
Mr. Speaker, the world economy is shifting, and Canada must rise to meet this unprecedented moment. Global trade is in disarray, tariffs reshaping markets, and our largest trading partner increasingly unreliable. Budget 2025 is our chance to act. Can the Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and the CRA explain how Canada will meet this moment with a historic investment budget?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for that great question. This is a transformational moment. We will pivot from an era of reliance to resilience. With Budget 2025, we're laying the groundwork of some of the investments, some of the biggest investment this country has seen since the Second World War. We will spend less in government operations. We will invest more in Canadians, invest more in Canada. This is our moment, Mr. Speaker, our time to build big, build bold, and build now. It's time to build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
inflation is up another 4% because of the Liberals' hidden industrial carbon tax and tax on food packaging. Now, the Liberals will like to say that these are just imaginary taxes. But experts at the Agriculture Committee yesterday confirmed not only are these taxes not imaginary, they are in fact driving up the price of groceries. And I want to quote Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, who said wholesale food prices have increased, and one of the factors driving this is the carbon tax. And so we are very concerned, and we expect food inflation to be a problem moving forward. So will the Prime Minister stop his inflationary budget and scrap his taxes on food so Canadians can afford to feed
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, once again, there is no tax on plastic food packaging. They can keep saying it if they want, but it doesn't make it true. Exist. But you know what is true? We are going to be tabling a budget today. It's going to support Canadians. It's an important, big moment for our country as we build our country and we build it well. I hope that the Conservatives will support us.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Well, imaginary things like Deloitte and Dr. Sylvain Charlebois have already confirmed what Canadians know. These are not imaginary taxes. They are struggling to pay these taxes every single day at the grocery store. The food professor said as a result of the industrial carbon tax and taxes on food packaging, Canada is the only G7 country where food inflation has increased for 4 straight months. And it's only going to get worse, which is scary when we have 2.2 million Canadians forced to use a food bank. Will the Prime Minister scrap his taxes on food so Canadians can afford to feed themselves?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, once again, these are imaginary taxes. They do not exist. There is no tax on food packaging. He can cite all of the imaginary people that he wants to cite. There are no taxes on food packaging. And good news, this budget won't include any either.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar this Liberal government spends comes straight from the pockets of hard-working Canadians. More government deficits mean higher taxes and more inflation, jacking up the cost of living already. Canadians are struggling. Nicole, a single mom from Oxford, works 2 jobs, 70 hours a week, barely sees her kids, and still can't make ends meet. These stories from like Nicole and others are now becoming the norm thanks to Liberal deficits. So instead of trying to cause a costly election on their costly budget, why won't they table an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Mr. Speaker, I want to highlight today that the opposition can offer Nicole and those single parent households the support of a future that is based in today's budget that will be presented. Wow. My colleagues today have the chance to protect those very futures that they speak about, including those young Indigenous children, the fastest growing population who need us and depend on the programs that we have put in place. Canadians chose a Prime Minister with a vision that they trust. We hope the opposition will prioritize protecting Canadians' budgets that they need in this critical time. We know that we all...
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Canadians have seen this nightmare before. Empty Liberal promises can't feed empty stomachs. When Liberals recklessly spend, it's Canadians who pay the price. Higher grocery prices, higher rents, more on gas, and the only thing that is growing in this Liberal economy are the lines at food banks, with over 2 million folks now visiting food bank in a single month. Yep. Liberal deficits mean higher taxes, higher inflation, meaning life is more expensive for Canadians. So I'll ask again, instead of trying to cause a costly election on their costly budget, why won't they table an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, once again with the imaginary taxes, Mr. Speaker, but I'll tell you something that isn't imaginary, because I get to be the House Leader and actually see things that aren't imaginary. We are debating C4, which does 3 things. It cuts income taxes on every single person that pays income tax. It cuts the GST for first-time home buyers. And guess what? It gets rid of the carbon tax, Mr. Speaker. But these Conservatives play games and procedures and talk around these things to delay affordability measures that are quite real, not imaginary for Canadians. should...
Did he just say we'll get rid of the carbon tax? The imaginary carbon tax? That he says is imaginary, they're going to get rid of that? I don't think these clowns know what they're doing. They can't keep track of their lies. Come on, guys. Where's the score sheet?
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, Liberals are taking money out of Canadians' pockets with inflation caused by their deficits. This is threatening our children's future, which is unacceptable. This record-breaking deficit budget will destroy our children's dreams. That is unacceptable. The Liberals are also going to trigger a costly election with a costly budget. Why not present an affordable budget so that Canadians can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Well, it's very clear that each word that comes out of a Conservative member's mouth actually comes out of the Conservative leader's office. If they want to talk about the future, it's remarkable that when we see the lack of seriousness they show at question period, that Canadians chose a serious government that gives more purchasing power to the middle class, more opportunity to youth, that is creating more big projects to build our country. For once, I would invite the Conservatives to show some ambition for Canada and to support us in this budget. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, well, we are very nervous about what the Liberals are coming up with here. We were expecting $42 billion of deficit, but things are going to actually be much worse. This Liberal government is completely disconnected from reality. It is just spending and spending. Each dollar that the Liberals are spending is coming directly out of the pockets of people in my riding. Mr. Speaker, why not table an affordable budget to make Canadians' lives affordable? The Honourable Government House Leader. Well, it may not be in the notes that the Leader of the Conservatives just gave my colleague, but he should speak to his colleagues who have been slowing down the adoption of Bill C-4, which would lower taxes for all those who pay income tax in Canada, which lowers the GST on homes for first-time homebuyers, and which also eliminates the carbon tax. The member across the way should stop slowing down that bill. That will bring more affordability to all of Canada.
Kamloops Thompson Nicolau.
Mr. Speaker, I spent much of my legal career prosecuting internet offenses against children. This included possession of child sexual abuse material. Let's be clear, victims often serve a psychological life sentence. Last week, the Supreme Court of Canada struck down the mandatory 1 year in jail for possession of child sexual abuse and exploitation material. The minister said today that he won't use the notwithstanding clause on this ruling. So the question is this: why are the rights of victims second and the rights of sex offenders first?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, through actions, we are standing up for victims of crime. Hear, hear. Plain and simple. Mr. Speaker, child abusers should face the toughest penalties under Canadian law. That's why we introduced C4.
No. These are obviously important issues, and therefore we deserve important debates. So the Secretary of State, from the top.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rights of victims are very important to this government. That is why we have been taking action. And let me make it very plain and simple to the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. Child abusers should face the toughest penalties under Canadian law. That is why we introduced C-14. We're making reforms, sweeping reforms, Mr. Speaker, that make bail stricter, that make sentences tougher, and that make sure that child abusers stay behind bars. Mr. Speaker, we also introduced lawful access so that we can catch child predators and we can give law enforcement the tools that are needed, Mr. Speaker, but the Conservatives are against it.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Nicolau.
Mr. Speaker, Bill C-14 has nothing to do with mandatory minimums for those who possess and produce child sexual abuse and exploitation material. I have looked far too many victims in the eye to feel comfortable giving the answer that the minister just gave, Mr. Speaker. Victims don't want excuses, they want action. We often hear about charter rights for the accused, including pedophiles, but we don't hear about rights for the victims. If the minister has ruled out using the notwithstanding clause, what's his plan to take sex offenders off our streets?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we've been taking action on this issue since day one. We introduced legislation called C-63 that made sexual offenses online, but the Conservatives did not support it, Mr. Speaker. We brought lawful access provision so that child pedophiles can be caught, Mr. Speaker, but the Conservatives did not support it.
So I'm interested in hearing this answer. So the Secretary of State... Secretary of State Bacon, continue.
Mr. Speaker, child abusers are amongst the most reprehensible in our society. That is why we've taken many measures like C-63, like C-14, and like lawful access provisions so that they can be caught in the first place, Mr. Speaker. We're also going to be bringing forward new
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the recent Supreme Court decision, which stated that 1 year of imprisonment for having accessed or possessed child sexual abuse material, saying that this was cruel and unusual punishment, is a real insult to the victims of these crimes. The Conservative government had hardened minimum sentences for this content. It's very clear that this government, and I wonder why, is more protecting the rights of pedophiles than the rights of children.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we are all about protecting the rights of children. Right. That is why we want to give law enforcement the tools that are needed to catch predators online. We brought forward tougher sentences for child offenders. These child abusers should be put behind bars, and that is exactly where we intend to keep them through C-14 and the new legislation that we're going to be tabling in this House this fall.
Hear, hear.
Honorable Député de Bourassa.
The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Mr. Speaker, the global economy is at a critical moment. The international trade system is experiencing upheaval. And today, new tariffs seem like the rule rather than the exception. Our country is facing economic difficulties and more uncertainty. Our main trade partner is no longer as reliable as it used to be, which is making our economy go through a more precarious period. With Budget 2025 coming up, can the Minister for Canada-US Trade tell the House why this is a historic investment budget? The Honourable Minister for Canada-US Trade. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank our colleague for Bourassa for this question. This is a period of transformation, and we are laying the groundwork for significant investments, the most significant in Canada since the Second World War. Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected an ambitious government, a government that will take strong action to build a resilient economy. And the good news, Mr. Speaker, is that in just a few moments, the House of Commons will get all of that good news. I know that all parliamentarians are looking forward to it.
For Mission Mastery Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. The Prime Minister tells young Canadians to sacrifice, yet Liberal insiders are thriving. Case in point, as Canadians give up on home ownership, this government handed out over $30 million in bonuses to 99% of housing agency executives, averaging $43,000 per bonus. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This new government has a very credible plan for building affordable housing. We are focused on delivering that affordable housing. $13 billion has been committed in this new budget. We hope the Conservatives will support this if they care about affordable housing. But, Mr. Speaker, they've voted against every affordable housing measure for 10 years now.
That's right.
I don't expect a lot from them, but when Canadians, and they're raising it in the House here, young Canadians need affordable housing, we expect their support on this budget.
Honourable Member for Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years, Liberal insiders have never had it so good. Canadians line up at food banks while this government lets $50 million IBM contract at CRA blow past $119 million. On track for $214 million. Young Canadians are told to sacrifice, so Liberal linked insiders, consultants can get rich. Canadians are stuck paying the bill. Instead of a costly election on a costly budget, why not affordable budget for an affordable life by cancelling consultants? Hear, hear.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I got great news to the party opposite. We have an affordability measure that maybe they may be interested in, Mr. Speaker. It's automatic federal benefits. Wow. Giving benefits to 5.5 million Canadians that need them the most. Canada Child Benefit, Disability Tax Credit, GST credit. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are laser focused on affordability for Canadians. The other side continues with the rhetoric and same old slogans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar of the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. The Prime Minister tells young Canadians they need to sacrifice. While more families than ever are lining up at food banks, this Liberal government is using Canadian tax dollars to fund a whopping $25 billion a year on outside consultants. Wow. Instead of trying to cause a costly election on a costly budget, why not an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Good question. The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, this is an historic day for our House. I thought we'd all be together. This is a historic day for our country. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we deliver affordability for Canadians, cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We cut the tax for GST for first-time home buyers. We are focused on affordability, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will deliver for Canadians. We got a mandate on April 28th to deliver affordability. The other side has handed one sheet around all question period. Same old rhetoric, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Prescott Russell, Cumberland.
Mr. Speaker, the world faces unprecedented uncertainty as the norms and institutions that underpinned global security and prosperity over the last half-century have been tossed aside as a new era of protectionism has begun. I'll be blunt. Voters in my riding of Prescott Russell Cumberland are anxious about what this new world order means for Canada. Can the Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and CRA let those people know how Budget 2025 will meet this unique and historical moment?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for giving me the opportunity to inform the House that today we will table an historic budget that will spend less on operations and invest more in Canada. Mr. Speaker, the member opposite may not believe it, but we will build the strongest economy in the G7. This is the largest investment in our country since the Second World War. We will build big, we will build bold, and we will build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Caribou, Prince George.
First responders, nurses, and healthcare workers serve and protect our communities every day. They put their uniforms on every day, knowing that their lives will be on the line, that they run towards danger. They mend our broken bones. They hold our hand as we take our last breath. What we've just seen by this Liberal government is shameful. Just before QP, I rose and asked for unanimous consent to pass a law that would protect firefighters, nurses, paramedics today, immediately, right now. The Liberals are using our frontline heroes as pawns in their political games. The minister has the power. Will he give unanimous consent to pass S-233?
Good question.
Minister of Justice. There's too much ambient noise.
Do not want coal mines destroying.
Protection of Canada's criminal. For those who commit assault, just tabled legislation bill.
Frank. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I see I've been missed by my friends opposite.
Exactly.
I have good news. On the subject that grounds the member's question, this is one where I think we can collaborate in a nonpartisan way. The government has just tabled legislation Bill C-14 that includes protections for first responders by adding aggravating factors to their sentences, which will result in harder penalties for those who commit assaults against our first responders. If we're going to count on first responders to keep our communities safe, the least we can do is offer the protection of Canada's criminal law. I will work across party lines with that member and with Conservatives in the Senate to adopt adoptions that will protect first responder as soon as possible.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians do not want coal mines destroying our cherished rock.
There's too much ambient noise. The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians do not want coal mines destroying our cherished Rocky Mountains. 4 years ago, the minister promised new coal mine selenium regulations that would protect our rivers and lakes from toxic pollution. And now we discover that instead of providing protection, the Liberals are allowing a dramatic increase in the pollutants going into rivers and lakes. This government is betraying its promise to Canadians. When will this government finally put the health of Canadians and the environment ahead of foreign interests?
Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, we have been very clear that we are going to continue to fight for clean air and clean waters for our next generations to come. As we continue to build Canada, we're going to build it well, and we will continue to make sure that we're protecting the environment at the same moment that we are building an economy with good jobs for the future. My job as Minister of Environment is to make sure that we continue to fight for the environment, and I will do it.
Bravo. The Honourable Member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are being bled dry at the pump, at the grocery till, on their credit cards and mortgages, and by cell phone bills that just keep climbing, while corporate giants post record profits. Last year, RBC made $16 billion, Rogers $1.7 billion, Loblaws over $2 billion, and Imperial Oil almost $1 billion last quarter alone. How much profit is enough? And will this Liberal government include a corporate excess profit tax in this budget to finally protect Canadians from runaway corporate greed?
Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with my colleague. We need to make sure that we work together on making the life of Canadians more affordable. And that's why we believe in competition. That's why also we took a bold decision when it comes to telecommunications fees and upholding the CRTC decision to make sure there's more competition and therefore lower fees for Canadians. But we'll do more, and he just needs to read the budget regarding what's going to happen when it comes to our competition across the country. Thank you.
It being 3:09, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion to concur in the first report of the Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills and Social Development and the status.
Okay. Well, I noticed that the leader of the opposition and the prime minister were not in the House. And I don't think I saw the leader of the Bloc Québécois either. Wonder if there's some last minute behind closed doors leadership meetings going on between the major parties in the House regarding the budget. And speaking of the budget, we will be back at 4 o'clock for the live stream as we cover the budget. And so on our way out the door, we will drop off a special Budget Day edition of ORNAP, Occam's Razor No Answer Period supplement to yesterday's well, not yesterday's. It's actually September. 3 days in September that Jean-Philippe François showed up in Parliament, actually answered some questions. Now, of course, he was in Parliament some other days, other than that. But basically, you will see the responses that he gives and also the questions that were asked in that video by the leader of the opposition to the Prime Minister and the answers that were repeated there. We can pretty well see what's happening. And we can pretty well see what they're going to be giving us, which is all the same non-answers that they have been providing so far. So please enjoy the video on your way out. And if you're so inclined, please come back and join us at 4 o'clock for the budget.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
We listen to Canadians, something that the Conservative may want to do a bit more. And what Canadians have told us, Mr. Speaker, is affordability is the first concern. The second is housing, and the third is the economy. What have we done, Mr. Speaker, while the leader was away? The first thing we did for Canadians was to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Everyone got a raise on Canada Day, Mr. Speaker. The second thing, we removed GST on first-time home buyer, Mr. Speaker. And we are going to build with Canadians, with every Canadian, the strongest economy in the G7. That's what this Liberal government is about.
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised by my colleague's question. Not only did we listen to the Conservative constituents and all Canadians, they told us one thing, Mr. Speaker, tackle the cost of living. And the first thing our government, Liberal government, did was to lower tax for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That's money back in the pockets of people in his riding, Mr. Speaker. The second thing that the Canadians asked us to do is to build affordable homes. And yesterday, Mr. Speaker, we launched Build Canada Homes to help more families. On this side of the House, we're going to work to build the strongest economy in the G7. The Honourable Mr. Speaker, what young Canadians and Canadians in general want is obviously to be able to have an affordable life in Canada, to be able to buy a home and an affordable home, and also to have a resilient economy for the future. Because on this side of the House, we've always understood that the best thing we can do is to build a strong economy for all Canadians. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, I can tell you that the Liberals will work together to build the strongest economy, to make life affordable for Canadians, build more homes, make Canada, Mr. Speaker, the best economy in the G7.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for his excellent work. Indeed, this major project will increase capacity at the Port of Montreal by about 60%, Mr. Speaker, by providing Eastern Canada with the commercial infrastructure to ensure the flow of goods. With the creation of the Major Projects Office, we're moving from vision to action. Our government is committed to delivering transformative projects that not only create thousands of good jobs, but also connect our diverse regions and stimulate new industries. Mr. Speaker, that's how we're going to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7.
Mr. Speaker, I have good news for the member. That is a very real issue, and that's why we have a very real answer, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House. The very first thing that this Prime Minister did for Canadians was to reduce taxes for 20 million Canadians. 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker, have more money in their pockets, the cost of living. On this side of the House, we're not about slogans. We're not about jokes. We are serious to deliver for Canadians, and we will continue to fight for Canadians at every segment of the way, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians met with the Prime Minister, and they saw that they had a Prime Minister who listens and who has a vision, and above all, a man of action. With the new Liberal government, the first thing we did, Mr. Speaker, was to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians all across the country, recognizing that we need to pull together to help those who are the most in need. But in doing that, Mr. Speaker, we also enabled those who wanted to buy a home to pay less GST, less tax, and at the same time, we have embarked on the most ambitious house building program in Canadian history.
Now we're halfway through the fiscal year, and the Prime Minister hasn't even presented a budget, despite the fact that he managed to double the deficit. It's now twice as high as that of Trudeau. What an accomplishment. And now we have inflation at a rate that is 50 times higher. And for food, it's up 70%. There are more people relying on food banks now. The Prime Minister said that we could judge him by grocery prices. So, what's the verdict? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, Canadians made a choice at the last election. They chose a government that will focus on the economy and on change, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly what we're doing. What we said is that we will be rigorous in our spending, to be ambitious in our investment, Mr. Speaker, because Canadians understand that if we want to build a strong economy in the 21st century, we have to invest. We're here for Canadians. We're going to build the most resilient economy in the G7 and for the future, and we're going to build a Canada that all Canadians can be proud of. Canadians, well, many of them can't even eat. The Prime Minister promised to spend less, but the deficit is twice as high. He promised that grocery prices would go down, but they're up 70% higher than what the Bank of Canada had said. There's more poverty now. Does the Prime Minister recognize that his empty promises have led to empty stomachs? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we obviously recognize the situation of many Canadians, and that is why during the last election, Canadians chose a Liberal government, a government that stands up for them. And the first measure that we implemented was to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians, exactly to help families across our country. And we can be proud of this, and that's something that's the Conservatives should celebrate. And this exactly this type of measures we're going to take. We're going to help the middle class and families and build a Canada that all Canadians can be proud of.
Opposition. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised that he would spend less, yet his deficit spending is 100% more than even Justin Trudeau. And what is the real human consequence of that? Food price inflation is rising 70% faster than the Bank of Canada's target. And today, the CEO of the major food bank network in Toronto says that there has been a 400% increase in food bank use there. Does the Prime Minister understand that his empty promises lead to empty stomachs?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, it's reassuring to hear the Leader of the Opposition that listened to the Prime Minister during the summer. I'm glad to see that he retained that we're going to spend less so we can invest more, Mr. Speaker, and investing more in Canadians. Like, for example, reducing the taxes for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Like making sure that people who want a first-time home, buy a first-time home, will pay less in GST, Mr. Speaker. Making sure that we eliminate the consumer carbon tax, Mr. Speaker. I think the leaders should celebrate that this government is there for families across Canada to build a stronger and more...
Believe it or not, this Prime Minister admits he'll outspend Trudeau. Large Liberal deficits made in core inflation 50% over target and food prices 75% over target. No wonder everything is so expensive in this country. And listen to these stats. Beef up 33%, soup 24%, and coffee 22%. Now, inflation's up, deficits are up, and borrowing costs are up, while the economy's down, Canadians are down, because this Prime Minister's elbows are down. Why doesn't he put his head down and stop spending so much so grocery prices can come down?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we understand the situation of many families in this country, and that's why this Prime Minister has been key in acting to make sure to make life more affordable for Canadians. But the real question that people are asking at home today, Mr. Speaker, many are looking, why would the Conservative voted against childcare, Mr. Speaker? Why did the Conservative voted against pharmacare, Mr. Speaker? Why would the Conservative voted against the dental care program, Mr. Speaker? Why would the Conservative stand up in this this House asking these questions when they voted against helping Canadians. On this side of the House, we'll always be on the side of Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister told Canadians that he was the man with the plan. Yet 6 months later, his budget is nowhere to be seen. And experts now project that his deficit will be double what Trudeau already created. This Prime Minister is proving one thing, that Liberals, no matter how they brand themselves, cannot be trusted to handle our finances. Canadians expect and deserve a government that will work for them on the issues that matter the most. Yet 60% of Canadians say that cost of living keeps them up at night. So when will the Liberals start acting like it?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, in fact, we spent the summer listening to Canadians. And you know what Canadians have told this House? They said act with respect to the cost of living, Mr. Speaker, and it's exactly what we've done with respect to reducing tax for 22 million Canadians, reducing the rebate for having a rebate for GST for first-time home buyer. The second thing they said, Mr. Speaker, is make homes more affordable, Mr. Speaker. That's why you've seen recently we launched Build Canada Homes, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives should be celebrating today instead of talking down Canada and the Canadian economy. Let's work together to build the strongest nation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's a great question indeed. We're going to present a great budget in this House on the 4th of November. Our communities, we're going to empower Canadians. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're going to build this country like never before. We're going to build the Canada of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, we are the true north, strong and free.
The honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his excellent question. We will be tabling an excellent budget on November 4th in this House, Mr. Speaker. It will be a generational investment in our future, Mr. Speaker. It will be a budget to build our country, a budget to protect our communities, a budget to build a stronger economy, Mr. Speaker. We are going to build the most resilient economy in the G7. We're going to build the Canada of the 21st century. Vive le Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Expectations for this Prime Minister were low, but holy smokes, he's been Prime Minister for 6 months and we still haven't seen a budget. The Prime Minister said he would spend less than Trudeau, but his deficit is projected to be almost double the number that forced the former Finance Minister to resign the first time around. This is another broken Liberal promise. It's a Liberal bait and switch. This massive deficit spending is driving up inflation and sending the price of groceries sky high. When will this Prime Minister admit that his broken promises are breaking the bank for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, now that our Conservative colleagues know the date of the budget, I hope they're prepared to go back in their riding to explain to Canadians this generational investment in our collective future, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure they're going to be proud to go back in their riding to say, we're building this country, Mr. Speaker, that this budget is going to protect their community, Mr. Speaker, that this budget is going to empower Canadians, Mr. Speaker, that this budget is going to build the strongest economy in the G7. I hope all the Conservative and all members of this House will go out and tell Canadians, together we'll make it. We're the true north.
Speaker, as I said earlier, the government will be tabling its budget on November 4th. But, Mr. Speaker, that's where we'll see the true colors of the Conservatives. Will they support a plan, a generational investment in the Canadian economy? Will they support Canadian families? Will they be there to support the Canadian economy? Will they be there to support Canadian workers, Mr. Speaker? The last time we tabled the steps to help Canadian families, they voted against it. And we'll find out where they stand when the next budget is tabled, because we expect everyone to support it to build a strong country.
C'est quoi l'ampleur?
What is the scope of the Liberal deficit? Mr. Speaker, first, I would like to welcome the new pages here in Parliament. There will be a new budget from the government, released on November 4th. And that will be the biggest investment budget in generations for Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This country's future in a generation. Building homes, building new port infrastructure, new trade corridors, new energy infrastructure, building the strongest economy in the G7.
Well done. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Usually, the current government presents the deficit at the beginning of the fiscal year. Now, 6 months have gone by, and we still don't know how big the deficit is. This means a lot of uncertainty and pushes away investment and kills 86,000 jobs. It's the first time in the country's history that the Prime Minister won't tell us what the deficit is 6 months into the fiscal year. He says he's a budget expert, so does he know how big his deficit is? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'd like to thank him for the compliment. Yes, I am a fiscal budget expert. Yes, I know that. Thank you. And I know that the current economic context here in Canada, and what's causing uncertainty is a trade war. We have to control what we can control, and that's investment in our future.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Surely, if he was such an expert, he would know the size of his own deficit. It's now halfway through the fiscal year. 6 months have gone by, and he has announced $40 billion of additional spending. Deficits drive up inflation, grocery prices, housing costs, and interest rates. They drive out investment from our country and uncertainty that destabilizes our economy. That's why every other Prime Minister in Canadian history has announced the deficit at the beginning of the fiscal year. We're 6 months in. Does he even know the size of his own deficit?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I know many things. And one of the things I know, the member opposite, the Leader of the Opposition, just mentioned interest rates. One thing I know is that Canadian interest rates are much lower than American interest rates. They're lower because this country's fiscal situation is strong, because this government has a plan to grow this economy, and we will keep doing it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, the collapsing economy is bringing down interest rates, but the financial expert doesn't even know what his own deficit is. But another financial expert spoke yesterday. The parliamentary budget officer said the deficit will absolutely be higher because of additional spending. He said he doesn't know what the government's fiscal anchors are because they do not exist. He says the labor market sucks and wages are not going up. These are quotes. Is this why Liberal members on the committee who heard those truth bombs threatened that the Prime Minister would fire the parliamentary budget officer after 166 days?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I don't recognize that, Mr. Speaker. I don't recognize that characterization. I just appointed the parliamentary budget officer, and this government does have fiscal anchors. This government has fiscal anchors. We are going to spend less so the country can invest more. We are going to balance the operational budget in 3 years. We are going to have a declining level of debt, and we're going to do all of that because we're building the strongest economy in the G7 for Canadian families.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And the Prime Minister made the appointment of the parliamentary budget officer temporary so that he could hold a sword over his head and threaten him if he speaks the truth about the financial mess. Parliamentary budget officer's position permanent, and tell us how big the deficit is.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
With respect to consultations on making the Parliamentary Budget Officer's position permanent, I look forward to speaking to the Leader of the Opposition, le chef de bloc,
The leader of the Bloc Québécois.
of other parties in Parliament, so we have a consensus on that appointment. I welcome that opportunity. We will do it at this. Yes, because this is the new spirit, Mr. Speaker, the new spirit of collaboration that has.
The Prime Minister promised to cap spending, but is now set to double the deficit. Another broken promise, another Liberal bait and switch. Here's what the PBO, Canada's financial watchdog, said about the PM's economic record. Quote, the deficit will absolutely be higher. Quote, I don't know that the government currently has fiscal anchors. Quote, the labor market sucks. Wages are not going up. My question is this. How high will the deficit go? And what is this government's fiscal guardrail?
The Honourable L'Honorable Ministre des Finances.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
So happy to see that our Conservative colleagues are so eager to see the great budget we're going to present on the 4th of November. Mr. Speaker, this is good news for Canadians, indeed. It's going to be a generational investment in the future of this nation, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build our country. We're going to protect our communities. We're going to empower Canadians. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're going to build like never before. We're going to build the Canada of the 21st century because you know what, Mr. Speaker? We're the true north, strong and free.
Mr. Speaker, the PBO confirmed the deficit will be higher. Reports indicate it could even push $100 billion. Canadians know that massive Liberal deficits drive inflation. They pay for it at the grocery store as food inflation is 70% above target. And as a result, 25% of households can't afford to put food on the table. Will the Prime Minister admit that having no fiscal anchor and doubling the deficit will only drive inflation higher?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the colleague for giving me the opportunity to share good news with this House, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the rate has gone down, Mr. Speaker, 2.5% today. The Bank of Canada just announced, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives should celebrate. Consumers are celebrating, businesses are celebrating, Canada is celebrating, Mr. Speaker. One thing that it tells to all Canadians, our plan is working. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7.
The Honourable.
The Liberal Prime Minister promised to cap government spending, but he is slated to double the deficit. Another broken promise, another Liberal deception. Yesterday, the PBO provided a scathing assessment of the first 6 months of this Liberal PM's term. He said at his committee appearance, I don't know if the government currently has fiscal guardrails. There's no clarity, no structure. Even the independent PBO does not know. Can anyone in this government tell us how deep into the red this Prime Minister's deficit will sink? The Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to see that the Conservatives will be here until November 4th. Us as well, because on November 4th we'll be presenting a generational investment plan for Canadians. We'll be building our country, protecting our communities, and we're going to build a strong Canadian economy. Together with Canadians, we will be building the most dynamic economy in the G7. We need to build the country of tomorrow, and long live the true North, strong and free.
Canadians, because this is your country, and we decide what comes next.
Victor talks like the government's money belongs to him, and they call these taxes imaginary. They aren't imaginary when you're...
If the Conservatives want the truth, we'll tell them the truth.
Yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out because they saw the ambition in that speech. And not only did they see it in that speech today, as the Prime Minister stood with the Premier investing in new nuclear to ensure the jobs of today and the future, they know that the youth...
The only thing that's revolting are those answers.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these Conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr.
It's too bad that that minister didn't write the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, because it wouldn't have bored and depressed to tears all of those poor students stuck in that room. There he spoke about how they would have to sacrifice more and that it would take time to reverse all of the misery that has built up over the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, young people want to have homes. They want to have jobs. They want to have hope. They want a budget that is affordable so they can have a life that is affordable. Will the Prime Minister introduce that budget so that Canadians can restore the promise of their country?
And we decide what comes next.
Canada know that this government has their back. There's going to be a powerful statement for the young people of Canada.
Driving inflation. The more Liberals spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. 25% of Canadians are using food banks because they can't afford to eat. So when will the Prime Minister finally get his inflationary deficits under control so Canadians can put food on the table?
Mr. Speaker, Conservative members pretend to care about food insecurity, but then they call feeding children garbage.
Mr. Speaker, what's garbage was that answer?
Did the Prime Minister see the ad before it went out?
Of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government.
Being serious means being honest and telling
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
Out of control spending on consultants. Last year alone, over $20 billion on well-connected Liberal insiders getting contracts. And this year, I think the number said that it's going to go as high as $25 billion. Why won't they put Canadians first? Instead of asking young people to make sacrifices, why won't they cut out their well-connected friends, put Canadians first, and deliver a budget that Canadians can actually afford?
Madam Speaker, it's impressive the Liberals are actually recognizing Christmas. Canadians are being asked to pull the wagon through the mud while Liberal cronies ride comfortably on top. The government isn't worried about families lining up at food banks. They're too busy lining the pockets of insiders. They're not bothered with cutting home prices. They're too focused on cutting checks to bumbling bureaucrats. They don't care about rising debt and inflationary deficits so long as the money keeps flowing to the Liberal elites. When will this Prime Minister stop using tax dollars to reward his friends?
Tomorrow's budget will empower Canadians because